Hi Expressions, my name is Lauren and I'm your street journal for today. And today we're talking about World Adoption Day and also the abandonment of children. Today I'm sitting with these beautiful ladies and we're going to be getting their views and what they think about people abandoning their children, especially young women.
In this society right now, most of the guys, they run away, especially if you're a teenager and you're pregnant. They'll be like, no, I can't tell my parents, go do some abortion, things like that. So that's when you start to hate your child before she's born.
I actually think it's because they're ashamed of telling the parents that they're pregnant, because they also think, oh, it's okay, sharp, I'm young, I'm still in school, I don't have cash. Since I'm pregnant.
I feel like the issue starts at home by our parents, because we're not getting so much support by letting us know when reaching that certain state about having sex. So I feel like you intense ukuthi abantwana bagcine bayenza lezi zinto lezi abazenzayo.
On that note, we want to say hello, Dumelang Sanbonani, South Africa. Welcome to Expressions, your #1 current affairs show here on SABC. This is definitely the place for you to air your views. I'm your host, Jacqueline Mapala.
I'm your host, Umolisi Wagomasamo. Now, do babies matter in South Africa? Well, and as more and more babies are found abandoned. Now, studies show that abandonment most frequently results from desperation, poverty, unemployment, breakdown of family structures, HIV/AIDS, cultural beliefs, and concerns around the formal practice of adoption, rape, incest, and the phenomenon of blessers or sugar daddies.
Because many of these babies are left to die or simply abandoned in dustbins, open field, public toilets, or on train tracks. In 1999, the Berea Baptist Mission Church said something needs to be done. And under the leadership of Pastor Cheryl Allen, the church made a hole in the wall and a baby box was installed, allowing for mothers to leave their babies any time of the day or night for the church to take care of them. Go.
Kusenjalo si Expressions, we visited the Door of Hope Children's Mission. How are they saving abandoned babies? Do take a look at this.
Mbugelewe Expressions, we are now at the Berea Baptist Mission Church. Now, this is the building that houses the Door of Hope. Now, as we reflect the plight of abandoned children, we catch up with a lady by the name of Umam Francina. Now, she's the primary caregiver of all the children that are left here by their parents in a hope to find them a better home, as well as adoptive parents who can play the role of good parents to them. Let's go meet her.
We saw a box outside where it seems like people who no longer want their kids or feel they're not in a position to be having children can come and put them in there. Tell us, how did that come about?
The box is for those mothers who don't want to sign a consent or maybe speak to the social worker concerning counseling and all those kind of things. So there will be like a unknown person who will come and place the baby and then walk away. So we have like a sensor and a camera in the box. Immediately the baby's been placed in, then the sensor will go off, and then that's how it alerts us in the house.
Have you ever had incidences where mama come back and say, maybe I'm ready to be a parent, I want my child back?
There have been several cases about that. We have to refer them to the social workers, and then it will be a process, because it's a long process. Because at the first place, we don't know who have left the child in the box, so we cannot just give the child to a stranger. So a lot of investigation has to be done, and then take it from there.
For how long do you keep them here for?
We admit from 0, meaning the child comes to the baby will come to us without even a month, or maybe that's why it's 0 to 1 year. So we have adoption agency that does adoption on our behalf. So what's going to happen? We don't groom them until they're adults.
Talk to me about some of the challenges that you face on a day-to-day.
We have like sick kids, as I've mentioned, that we just had like a measles case recently, but thank God we contained that.
A truly touching story showing us everyday heroes who are making a difference in this issue that we're going to be discussing in studio. But I won't be doing this discussion by myself. I'm joined by my guest, and my first guest is Ms. Ntombi Ndondo, who is from Johannesburg Child Welfare. She's a social worker. And I'm also joined by Ms. Kidiboni Koza, who is from African Havens. Ladies, welcome to Expressions. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
And of course, they say the best things come in twos. My co-host Mkolisi is manning our social media corner, and he's going to be bringing you some of your insights, Kohaya, about this topic that we're discussing. But we're going to get straight into it. You know, Auskidibon, maybe let me start with you. You're part of African Havens. We want to get a picture of what's happening on the ground. How rife is this problem of children and babies being abandoned?
This is a serious problem, because most of the young girls are not ready to be mothers. That is why recently some of them, they give birth in hospitals and they leave those kids there in hospital without a name, without an identity. That is where social workers come in to give those kids some identity.
What is missing in our society that young women are feeling like they have no choice, they have no alternatives but to abandon their babies?
Okay, looking in the families also, I think we also need to look in the families, you know, because one of the reasons that makes the young mothers to abandon the babies is the fear of the parents. Remember, some of them are sent to school, and then due to, you know, the peer pressure, and they end up being pregnant. Now they're scared to go back home with the baby, and then they decided to say, okay, maybe the solution is to abandon the baby. But if the parents, we're not encouraging the children, can sit down with their children and discuss sexual issues, you know, issue of sex with the children, so that the children have a better understanding. Because especially in African families, talking about sex is a taboo. But if our families can stop that and be open, you know, so that the children can know about sex, I think we can prevent this.
Give us a picture of the women who end up, you know, abandoning their babies. What backgrounds do they come from?
Most of them, it's from dysfunctional families, teenage mothers. Some of them, it's because of their mental state for them to abandon the babies. They're not ready. The other thing is a medical issue, that a woman gives birth and then she just loses her mind. Some of them, these kids are placed with the children's homes. After 3 months, the woman comes back to the hospital and say, "Where is my baby?" Because of the medical condition. It's not because she planned to abandon the child, but it was because of the mental challenge. Yes.
So also give us an indication. I mean, we were doing the insert there with my co-host Mkolisi, where he went to Door of Hope, where they've created a hole literally in the wall where babies can be received. I think just to find out from you as African Haven, how do you receive the babies? Do the moms come straight to you? Is there a way in which, you know, mothers can discreetly leave their babies in a safe environment? How do you receive the babies?
With us, it's a different case. We get our children through the statutory social workers. When a child is abandoned wherever, whether in the street or in hospital, the hospital social worker will call the statutory social workers, like child welfare. They call them. They are the ones who go to court for the commissioner to declare the child in need of care. Then after the commissioner issues a court order, that is when they place them with us. And we take it from there.
You know what also rings absolutely true, and let me bring you in, Ntombi, is essentially the fact that the mothers that abandon the babies are not ready. So essentially it's children trying to raise children, if that makes any sense. So I want to go back to the poll question, I think, before I start talking about how you help them when you find the mothers who've abandoned the babies, to say, do babies in South Africa matter? Are we a society that places value on our babies?
Yes, Mr. Colden. Babies do matter, you know, because that's why you even have foster parents who are willing to foster these children, and we also have adoptive parents who are also willing to adopt these children before considering the CYCC, where we place the children in children's home. We do have families who, you know, who like to adopt and foster those children.
How do you support mothers who've abandoned their babies? What kind of psychological, emotional support do you offer them once you find who they are?
Unfortunately, in many cases, the abandonment is a secret one, whereby the parents are not known at all. Mainly, we'll get the children from the police or the hospital will call you to say the child is being abandoned, whereby the mother gave a wrong number and wrong name and a wrong address, which makes it impossible to trace the mother. Or sometimes they'll just abandon the children in the street, whereby you cannot be able to trace the mother.
So, I mean, this definitely is an issue that is rife, but I think we want to just stress, Kochaye, that we're not putting the blame solely on mothers who are abandoning these children. And I think just as a word of inspiration and hope, because I'm sure there are lots of young girls right now who are like, my goodness, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't have support, Kochaye. I don't know who to turn to. I think as a social worker, what would you like to say to them in terms of the fact that there's a light at the end of the tunnel?
Okay, we encourage them to come to social workers. Come talk to a social worker, whereby we can make arrangement. It's either your child will be placed in foster care or adoption. Remember, foster care is for temporarily. Maybe, let's say, because she's still a teenager, she cannot afford to look after the child. The child can be placed temporarily there until she can stand on her feet. But if she say, I cannot take this child at all, then we can also arrange for adoption, whereby the child can be adopted so that she can grow up in a family environment. So speaking to a social worker, we won't be like maybe revealing your identity.
Yeah.
Confidentiality is guaranteed.
So, if you're a young girl and you're feeling like you're alone, right? We want to say as expressions that you're not alone and there's definitely help out there. And we definitely want you to be part of this discussion that we're having in studio. Even though we're not live, we still want you to interact with us on our social media platform, and we are on Facebook and we are Expressions SABC 1. On the flip side of this is Mkolisi. You're watching Expressions. We'll be back right after this.
Yes, Pinde Sinbingelele Snamgele. You're still watching Expressions, your hashtag #1 youth current affairs show. Now, we are talking about abandoned babies. We ask, do babies matter in South Africa? I'm now joined by Asanda Moloto as well as Uxoli Sonamanzi, a content producer and radio DJ. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us on Expressions.
Thank you
very much. Asanda, now we heard a very important point coming out from Umam Gedebone where she says the nation comes to a point where Bantabasha aren't really ready.
I had postnatal depression because I didn't love Umtanam at first because of the father. And, you know, guys, after you say, Guti, I'm pregnant, most of them, they'll be like, okay, Nyahamba, it's not my baby and stuff. So, Benguleo situation, so thank God I had my grandmother and my aunt with me, so they gave me all the support that I needed, and I was still young, I was still at school. So after that, yeah.
So Uti, you were very young,
yeah.
So about what was really going through your head in
I tried so many times. I even went to, you know, there are these posters that they post to abortion clinic and stuff. So I tried calling, and I remember there was this other day I went to some Nigerian shop. So they were selling pills for abortion. So I bought them. Then they said I must, you know, suck them in and stuff. So I was like, no. And then my sister found out. And then she told my grandmother about it. And then, yeah. And then my grandmother was like, no, baby, it's fine. You know, she gave me all the support. Even though I was so depressed, I couldn't even eat. I didn't eat. Like, I was so skinny. Even my child, she was like so skinny.
Essentially, as a young person.
Yeah, I actually wanted the baby to die because I would starve myself. I would feel her like a tsunami, tossing and turning stuff. Yeah. I used to cry a lot because the baby daddy was not there and stuff. He was busy with other girls. So I thought I was ugly, I was gaining weight and stuff. And another thing, because Tina, as women, especially Minang, so I was like, okay, I don't want Isiza. What if, because Ukai doesn't want me anymore, what if Omunye Ukai agangfuni after the baby? What if I become ugly? What if I get stretch marks and stuff? I was stuck in ekaya, you know, not working. I was thinking, you understand? So I was like, yeah, this is like bad. But I love her very much now. She's my pride and joy.
Oli, I need to come to you now. Usisi Uyowabega Indabe important. She said that she was at a point where she didn't love her child. When Uyewa Balegekaya, is that how it happened? You left home.
Yeah.
Why did you leave home?
I left home, I think, at age around 14 or 15 because the situation as a guy was not happy. It was not okay. I orchestrated a plan for me and my siblings to leave. My parents loved me dearly, but they were not treating me to a point where I felt this is where home is. Love is there, but it's not to a point where it should be. We stayed in a 5-house welfare center in Soweto, and it had 2 social workers and few amounts of child care workers. That forces you to fend for yourself because it's me and Asa. Asa is probably a stronger person than me. She'll bully me. That's another abuse on top of the abuse that I have. So you need to fight. You need to be stronger. There's so many of my friends who have left their homes, came to a children's home, and they've got better parents, foster parents, if you will.
Big Brother campaign? Yes. Let's talk about that.
Big Brother is, we go to children's homes, we speak to them. You foster a child as a male or a female. You say, this is the Ukolile, Nyamtanda, I'm going to call him. Did you do your homeworks? How was your day? Did you eat well? What are you going through in your life right now so that the life cycle, yeah, kasakula, it's stronger. There are people around that child to be a stronger person, if you get, yeah.
Very interesting indeed. And at the back of that, Mbugeli, let's just quickly find out Uguti Ngawena Utini on your expression for this week. Roll it.
Hi, expressions. I think the reason behind baby abandonment is caused by prostitution or rape victim. Or it's probably lack of support from family or what the society would say about the whole issue of being pregnant at a young age.
Our listener, or viewer there rather, making a very critical point. Now, at the back of that on your social media now, Makabelo says a lack of employment and the thought of raising a child alone is too expensive. Now, lack of support from friends and family members, though a child is a gift from God, and will forever bless you for nurturing such a precious gift. Lawrence says this past weekend we've had to save 3 kids from a shack in my hood because the mother was on a weekend special as the festive season is near and more children will be left alone for days. Katleho says unplanned pregnancies which results from alcohol, drugs and adolescent lack of information about pregnancies, contraceptives and adoptions mostly results from dysfunctional families. Now, that's all on our social media sphere. Now, all those views are from our viewers and in no way reflect those of Expressions and its producers. There's more on this all-important conversation when we return. Remember to tell a friend, to phone a friend that the hottest current affairs show is now showing. Back after this.
Welcome back. You're watching Expressions, South Africa's biggest current affairs show. And today we are speaking about a big issue in our country. We're talking about abandoned babies. And the poll question that we're asking you, Kochai, is do babies matter in South Africa? Do babies matter in our country? And of course, I'm still with my guests. I'm with Kidiboni as well as Alsuntombi. And we have to wrap this up. And, you know, I couldn't help but, you know, feel touched by, you know, Asanda's story around, you know, the trauma and the pain that she went through. And something that sort of resonated is how we have conversations about sex. So yes, on the one hand, we talk about contraceptives and condomize. But do we have enough conversations about, okay, so now that you're pregnant, what are you going to do? Is there enough education and information for young girls?
Okay. I think, like I said, in most African families, talking about sex, it's like a taboo. I think because of that, parents are not free to talk about sex with their children. That is the problem. The only thing they will tell you is about contraceptive, but not telling you when you get pregnant, what's going to happen to you. Remember the child, like I listened to the lady's story. She's still young and she needs the parents' support. But we cannot always say the mothers. The fathers also. Are we looking at the fathers? Because mainly we're always blaming the mothers. What happens to the fathers? Because those girls don't get themselves pregnant alone. What about the fathers? Can we also put a focus on the fathers?
And what do you think can be done? I mean, I think Koli's initiative around, you know, working with young boys and trying to foster young boys is such a powerful initiative. And the fact that a young person is doing that, what advice can you give for other young people who are watching and saying, look, we want to be part of the solution and we want to act and do something about this issue? I mean, can you give us some advice?
I think it's important if they can join programs like that one of Young Brothers, you know, so that boy children also need to be educated, because in South Africa mainly the focus is only on girls. Can we educate our boys also? I think if also they have an understanding of everything, like girls are being taught this and this and this, things can change for a better.
And Askidi Mkobani, just to give you the last word as we wrap this up, I'm sure there are lots of parents who are watching the show and they're saying, is Expressions encouraging girls or young people to actually abandon their kids? And when you get criticism like that, to say that you are creating a haven where young people freely feel like they can just abandon their babies, what would you like to say to that? Because I think it's something that needs to be addressed. Are you encouraging young people to abandon their babies by creating a safe haven for these babies?
The safe havens are not created to encourage the young girls. They are created to save lives. So somebody has to ask themselves, Kuti, supposing these havens were not there, what was going to happen to those kids? They were going to die in the field, and they were just going to grow up without an identity. Because when we take them in, with the help of the statutory social workers, we give them their identity. Most of them, they come to the children's homes without a name. It's the responsibility of the statutory social worker to give that child a name, an identity.
A future, I think essentially a future.
Without an identity, they can't even go to school. There is no future without an identity.
And we want to commend you for the great work that you're doing. And I think you've definitely answered our whole question tonight around, do we value babies, right? And going to say that indeed you do. Places like yourselves do. So, Galeboha, so much. Thank you so much for giving us so much food for thought. Go.
Very great insight coming in there,
right?
Especially when it comes to Indi Martini as young men in society.
Yes.
Very interesting indeed. Well, Aye Mbugeli, let's just quickly find out what you had to say on our poll results. We asked if babies matter in South Africa. 70% of you thought yes, and 30% said no.
That's encouraging. That's absolutely
encouraging indeed. Again, Mbugeli sibonge again now ukuthi ube nathi lapha ekhaya once again, and of course we are going to be played out by Uzamo Dlamini. From all of us, we wish you a spectacular evening going forward. Nisale kahle.
Adios.
Down no magmadima, no magukuni, go down seguya kanya pamili. Ufake mandla wena ufese iphupho lakho ngoba uyathi ukuthi ufunani. Yes, they try to bash you, discourage you, but to this day persevere through it all. You